I'm Tom Cooney, and this is Business Wise. Our guest today is Rob Schmittauer. Rob is Vice President and owner of Parallel Technologies, Inc. And Rob, we're going to talk about Parallel and its business. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit about you. I know you grew up in Springfield, Ohio. How'd you end up in Cincinnati, Ohio in communications technology?
I have an uncle who was very close in age to me, and he's about 7 years older than me, really more like an older brother. And I would come down and visit him and just fell in love with Cincinnati. Didn't hurt that I was a Reds fan and a sports fan, but it's a great city. So it was the only city in Ohio I was going to live in.
Well, you're in a sales leadership position, but specifically in communications technology. How did you end up in that field?
I fell into technology, but I stay in it by choice. It was a friend of a friend was looking for a job in wireless sales. This was in the late 90s. And interviewed for the sales commission job. It sounded pretty great. The flexibility was great. But I stay in it because I think technology, especially in communications technology that we're in, is always going to be relevant. People are always going to have to communicate. By way of example, the pandemic, when you think about being busy, all these companies suddenly have to figure out how their employees can communicate with each other from home. I felt pretty good about my career choice when we were able to help those companies do things like that.
Sure. You became even more valuable to them, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
You worked with CPTS, a very large publicly traded company. I'm sure very large bureaucracy as well, but also with lots of resources. How did it feel to go from that to a relatively small company like Parallel?
It was tough. Parallel is a fantastic company, and the folks there have always been the utmost professionals. So that part was familiar. But just, you hit the nail on the head. It's the resources. Recruiting and onboarding employees is much, much more difficult at a small business than it is a large business. So we used to joke when I first started at Parallel that I need to be de-institutionalized to learn how to do things on my own. And so I did. So 95% of it has been overwhelmingly positive. It's, small companies, as you know, are more like families. And definitely more cut out for the ability to be as nimble as we are when you're that size.
I was going to say, I think the decision tree is a little bit shorter, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes things a lot easier.
I've been talking to Rob Schmittauer. Rob is Vice President and owner of Parallel Technologies, Inc. Rob, if people want more information about you or about Parallel Technologies, how can they best contact you?
You could visit our website at paralleltech.com. or visit us at our LinkedIn page. I think there's a lot of great content out there that people would enjoy.
Thanks for listening to Business Wise. I'm Tom Cooney. I'm with Wealth Dimensions Group. I am your business advocate.